of the House, of the Plateau State House of Assembly, are you working towards ensuring the political and administrative functionality of the business of legislature? How are you working to ensure the functionality of your work, of your office?
Well, thank you for such a question. Actually, the Chief Whip of the Plateau State House of Assembly, by the rules of the Plateau State House of Assembly, my simple duty is to ensure that there is decorum in the plenary section of the House of Assembly. The members also dress in accordance with the dressing code, and they maintain order when the session is on. Presently, the Plateau State House of Assembly, so far I will say, we have been receiving cordial working relationship among members. Relationship that has lasted the test of time so far. Since we started on the 9th of June last year, we have never for once failed to sit because of lack of quorum. Members have always lived up to their duties by turning up whenever our sittings to take place, and they always participate in the sitting. So, and all other aspects of relationship that concern the House, we have tried to deal with wanting issue of party differences. That first and foremost, we are Plateau State House of Assembly. Our constituency is secondary. What is primary is the House of Assembly. And there we treat issues that affect the interests of state generally, not based on party relationship. And I think we have succeeded in nipping that aspect of differences of party, so that we will have a focus on the entire state and the policies and programs of the legislative business and the political manifesto of the state.
Okay, because I was going to ask, is there a synergy between you and the opposition party?
Very well, there is a synergy, because most at times, if you've been following the proceeding of the House, you will see members of the ruling party will raise an issue before the floor of the House, and they receive the secondment of the other opposition party. And that goes to show that it is all about what is in the best interest of the state, not based on party differences. And most at times, they too have raised issues that have to do with the collective interests of the people we represent. And members of the ruling party have been giving them secondment and even making a very laudable contribution that will support the very issue they have raised before the floor. So on that note, I want to believe that the relationship between us in the House is very, very cordial.
So is that to say that there are no challenges at all?
At the moment, the challenges are minimal, but I can comfortably say we don't have challenges between when it comes to understanding the working relationship before the House. I think the challenges are minimal.
Okay, now Plateau people actually voted for change,
yeah.
And we want to know, Plateau people would want to know the position of the budget, because the governor had tagged it a budget of rescue, and up till now there seems to be a delay. What is the true position of the Plateau budget?
The issue of 2016 budget appropriation bill is a thing of concern. I remember the budget was presented sometime December last year, and when the House reconvened this January, the first issue that was tabled before the plenary is the issue of the budget. And we've given it the second reading, and it went through the committee stages where various ministries, agencies, and departments of government will now come and make their defense in line with the budget projection. And that aspect, you will all believe with me, is a very tedious procedure, because in the first place, the governor, His Excellency, has tagged the budget zero base. And if it is zero base, it has to call for serious scrutiny. It is not as it used to be. Members have to look into it very carefully and make sure that it is realizable. No matter what, the benchmark of the performance of the budget is for it to succeed in terms of performance, not just the figure. And in trying to do that, we have painstakingly taken over 2 weeks trying to allow both ministries to defend their budget, where a lot of corrections have to come up, and thereafter all the various subcommittees of the House have to now prepare their reports and then pass it to the Chairman House of Assembly Appropriation Committee, who is now collectively harmonizing all the reports of the various subcommittees and trying to bring it into a common budget form. So as I'm speaking to you, ordinarily, all things being equal, last week would have succeeded in presenting the budget as defended by the various ministries. But the chairman of the Appropriation Committee had to plead with the members in a plenary session that, in fact, all things being equal, the challenges they are facing are just minimal in terms of typographical and other things that they want to make sure it tallies with what the corrected version of the budget reflects. And by the grace of God, this week, Thursday, the budget will receive passage by the House of Assembly. We are trusting God based on the assurance given by the House Committee Chairman on Appropriation.
But there are reports in some quarters that the delay in presenting the budget has been because the members want to use this opportunity to compel the government to release some monies, to compel the governor to release some monies to the House.
That is not true. Actually, as representative of the people, we know to a large extent that budget is going to impact on the people we represent across the states. And I don't think we as representatives will be able to satisfy our personal interest before that of the general members of the public of these states. Like I said, the budget has captured so many aspects of the well-being of the citizens in terms of its capital aspect, its recurrent aspect. So we are even desirous that the budget be given passage so that eventually we will start to see implementation of what the budget contains. And that is another aspect that will call for our oversight duties. And at the end of the day, we will be able to tell our representative that indeed the budget has been that of rescue and hope. Because so far, before the second quarter of this year, we should be able to see extraordinary performances in the budget content. So the accusation that members are trying to downplay the passage of the budget in order to receive one or two favors from His Excellency, I want to disbelieve that is not true. Mind you also that we have enjoyed so far a very cordial working relationship with His Excellency. So I don't think we members will always personalize our interests, especially when it comes to issue of appropriation that we know that it affects the interests of the entire people we represent. So that is not true at all.
Okay, now you did mention the working relationship between the House and the governor. How would you really want to describe this relationship? Is there truly a synergy between the members, the Plateau State House of Assembly, and the executive? How are you working to ensure that you deliver the dividends of democracy to the Plateau people?
Well, what I mean by that is that if you look at the time within which the budget was presented to the House of Assembly, it was within time. The presentation was timely within the constitutional time limit. His Excellency was able to present the budget. And thereafter presenting the budget, members bring their mind to bear on the very other aspects that have become hindrances in terms of performance of previous budgets. And at the end of the day, having critically analyzed those areas that become hindrances, we are mindful of how this very budget will not suffer the experiences of the past. And that was why various committees have to take their time in trying to defend. In fact, it was a testimony by the various departments and ministries that came defending the budget. They have never had a rigorous session of budget defense like this year. And which, of course, if that is their testimony, I want to believe that the present assembly are living up to expectation in terms of their legislative duties. So we never left any stone unturned, like giving some of the ministries or departments accelerated passage of whatever is contained. We make sure that we ask questions. What is this subhead meant for? How do you use it? And how does it now become relevant to your ministry? What was the reflection last year? Why this minimal access to the budget last year and you are projecting this more than 10% increase in this 2016? So we try to ask all these questions so that at the end of the day we receive sufficient justification by the heads of such departments. But I think that is what I meant by the relationship so far.
The program is the platform. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you.